Well, let's speak to somebody who can give us answers to those questions. Robert Saba is the National Vice Chairman of the GPRTU. Thank you very much, Mr. Saba, for your time here on JoyNews today. Your drivers are saying that they are not going to reduce the fares. Is this something that has come to your attention? Is this your decision or directive to them?
Let me say hello to all of you and your cherished listeners. Well, I'm not aware that drivers are said so. However, drivers take directives from their leadership. Okay. So they cannot be a law unto themselves. We're going to meet with the Ministry of Transport, at 12 noon. It's even over. And I'm even driving towards the meeting. So whatever will come out from the meeting will be the decision of the union. It is not the preserve of GPRTU to issue or to come out with transport fares. We do so in collaboration with other transport organizations like Protoa Cooperative, who are under GRTCs and Tiger. That is what we do. So we're going to meet at the Ministry of Transport to see the way forward. But
as it stands now, some of these drivers at the various terminals already maintaining the 15%. But if you can help us, why did we have to increase fares by 15% in the first place?
Oh, it was due to the social distancing in our vehicles.
Okay.
And that resulted in the 15% increment.
And that was with your consent?
That was with our consent. We met at the ministry. There is no transfer fares that comes out of which we are not involved. It is not done like that. Yes.
And so now that you have the restrictions lifted, essentially allowing you to operate at full capacity, is it not only fair that you reduce you take back the increment so that passengers then can have that relief as well?
That is what I'm saying, that we're going into a meeting at the Ministry of Transport. So whatever comes out of the meeting, I'll be able to listen to the general public. It will be very wrongful on my part, to put the cart before the horse.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Saba, for joining us on this. And we're following that meeting for the outcome, the decision that will be taken by the Transport Ministry in that meeting with you, the GPRTU, and the other stakeholders. But let's move on to other stories now, because this is your election headquarters. And the Electoral Commission has implored party agents to use established laid-down rules to review the eligibility of an applicant and resort to violence. Addressing the media in Accra, Chairperson Jean Mensah condemned violent acts being witnessed across the registration centers in the country, calling on the police to prosecute offenders. The chairperson also disclosed that about 12 million people have so far been captured in the ongoing voter registration exercise.
The youth citizens taking the law into their hands and not following laid-down process. I think I mentioned it in my presentation that the Commission has put in place processes, mechanisms through which citizens can voice their complaints and their concerns. And we expect citizens to do so. And therefore, we do not encourage citizens taking the law into their hands. I think time and time again we have condemned violence on this platform, and we have urged our citizens to follow the laid-down mechanisms because they do work. The challenge process, where if you have to challenge an applicant because you believe that applicant is not eligible, those processes do work because you go, there's a challenge form that you fill, and you have the registration review committee that will sit on these forms and determine whether or not the person is eligible. That committee has on it the district police commander, the head of the education service at the district. It also has political party representatives on the committee. So those mechanisms work. Apart from that, when it comes to exhibition as well, one can still have the opportunity to challenge. So the mechanisms work, and as a commission, our number one goal is to encourage citizens to use those mechanisms that we have made available at the districts and not to take the law into their hands. Friday, the 24th of July, that is the end of the fourth phase, the total number of registered voters stood at 11,629,480 persons. At the end of the fourth phase, the Greater Accra region had the highest number of registrants, totaling 2,615,925 persons. The Ashanti region came second, with a total of 2,089,923 persons. And the Eastern region came third, with a total of 1,084,734 people. After the Eastern region comes the Central region, with 1,074,519 registrants. The Western region follows thereafter with 734,545 people. And then we come to the Northern region with 687,123 registrants. The Volta region follows with 660,508 registrants. And then Bono region with 460,222 registrants. The Upper East region follows with 409,825 registrants. And then we have Bono East region with 391,777 registrants.
Let's go to Parliament now. The Ministry of Finance says Ghana's economy is expected to perform better in this COVID-19 pandemic than several other countries and economies worldwide. Speaking to journalists at a post-mid-year budget review statement, Director at the Ministry, Dr. Alhassan Idrisu, said that modest 0.9% growth the economy will see in 2021 is better than than other countries and economies which have been impacted negatively by COVID-19. Joseph Opoku-Gatpo joins us live from Parliament, where we understand that debate on the budget, mid-year budget review has started. Joseph, what more can you report? Well, Joseph Opoku-Gatpo is still with us on the line. Joseph, what have MPs been saying? I see Isaac Adongo on the floor already. Yes, Joseph, I can hear you. What have MPs been saying? I know that the chairman of the Finance Committee has already spoken and the debate is underway.
Yes, so he's been speaking on the floor as well. Dr. Makasibeyeboa, drumming in a lot of the arguments the officials from the Finance Ministry have been making as far as that workshop is concerned, making the point that the Ghanaian economy has been on track in terms of inflationary figures, in terms of interest rates, and also when it comes to the nation's budget deficit until COVID-19 hit. And for Makasibeyeboa, it's the good management and the good foundation the NPP administration has laid over the last 3 years that's helping the nation show a lot of resilience, even in the light of the COVID-19 situation. So he's speaking on the floor right now. When he's done, we'll hear from Kaisel Asoforsin and other members on the minority and majority side. But Dr. Makasibeyeboa has been hailing Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta for his good management of the economy over the last 3 years.
When he said so, if it's not intentional, he must come back and do what is appropriate.
Order. Honorable, if he did that, it's unfortunate, to say the least.
Mr. Speaker,
that comment is withdrawn and it's expunged from the record.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, the minister indicated in paragraph 122 of the budget or review that total public debt as at June 2020 stood at 258 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I have in my hand the summary economic and financial data for July 2020 published by the Bank of Ghana and was released only last Friday. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana gives the total public debt also at 258 billion. That mirrors the minister's figure. But strikingly, Mr. Speaker, it indicates also that the total domestic component of the debt is 122 billion, consistent with the minister's own figure. But goes ahead to say that out of this figure, owing to what he calls the financial sector resolution bonds, which is the financial sector cleanup, is an amount of 14.3 billion. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the minister was at pains to tell us that the total amount of money...
Honorable, please, you say what?
On Thursday, sorry, Mr. Speaker, on Thursday the minister was at pains.
Order. The honorable minister was what?
On Thursday, the honorable minister indicated to us
yes, so stop words like
that an amount of 18.6 billion had been spent on the banking sector cleanup.
I want the record straight, and I will insist on that. You cannot use words like was afraid.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't say he was afraid. I said he was at pains.
At pain.
It's just English.
At pain is a comment.
At pains too. Yes.
Please, go on with what you said earlier. It's withdrawn.
The honorable minister informed this house
Yes.
that 18.6 billion Ghana cedis was spent on the banking sector cleanup. 18.6 billion. He indicated that 13.6 billion had been spent, and the president, upon the president's own directives, an additional 5 billion was spent, bringing the figure to a total of 18.6 billion. Mr. Speaker.
And you had Isaac Adongo, he's a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. We'll bring you more on these debates in the chamber in our subsequent bulletins. But parent-teacher associations of second cycle schools in the Ashanti region say funding constraints have forced them to abandon infrastructural projects amid organizational challenges. JoyNews checks reveal restrictions on PTA dues and levies that came with government's free senior high school program. As responsible officials say, transportation and other logistic support by parents have also stalled. Ohimenteria has more in the following report.
The fanfare that greeted introduction of free senior high school perhaps took away the powers of local PTAs in second cycle schools. The association had become vehicles for development in schools. Members spearhead infrastructure drive from classroom to residential accommodation to provision of vehicles for schools. Such initiatives were funded from dues, levies and other contributions by parents.
Before the free SHS policy, we used to collect fees, and then part of the fees given to PTA to do other projects. But the government policy is that don't use the guests to collect the dues, deal with the parents, and that is where the challenge is. And when we meet, we give our accounts numbers, we give numbers they will not pay.
Now, PTAs appear to have been reduced to mere peer groups with little or no influence in the schools their children attend.
Currently, per the free SHS policy, we no longer collect dues because we're using the students as agents, so that if they are not paying, we ask them to go home so that they go and collect the dues for us. Currently, per government policy, we cannot ask any child to go home to collect PTA dues. So it has become voluntary, and the parents are not paying.
One such school reeling under this situation is Yasantua Senior High School. PTA projects, including this two-story dormitory, started 2 years ago, is on hold. Space from this huge edifice could absorb hundreds of students to address congestion and perhaps the gold and green tracks issue. Andrews Chere is local PTA chairman.
If you are able to complete, according to the headmistress, the double track will cease for Yasantua. So we are appealing to people to help us. And we are also appealing to Kumasi businessmen or businesswomen to come to our aid so that the policy of social distance is assured.
Mr. Chere says at least 100,000 Ghana cedis is needed to complete the project and put the facility to use.
You're watching JoyNews today with me, Anas Mini. We're taking a short break. When we return, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away.
Welcome to business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Business confidence in the economy slumped to its lowest in 4 years at the end of June this year. Careful assessment of the Bank of Ghana's data puts the confidence index at 88 points. But what are the drivers of this sharp decline? George Afe has more on this and other developments in the economy.
We are learning that the drivers of this decline were exchange rate volatility's recent lockdown as a result of the coronavirus restrictions, border closure, and slowdown in demand for their products, which was partly due to these restrictions. Joy Business understands every month the Bank of Ghana engages 500 businesses to gauge their level of confidence in the economy. Another survey that measures economic activity is largely influenced by tax payments by businesses, SNIT contributions, jobs, and port activities also declined to -2 when you look at the growth over the same period for last year. From the Bank of Ghana's data, it is clear that the impact of COVID-19 on the economy might be worse than what has been projected by government, with some saying the country could hit a negative growth earlier than the end of this year. On another development in the economy, results were mixed. The country's total earnings from its traditional exports at the end of June this year stood at $7.3 billion, representing a decline from the $8.6 billion recorded for the same period last year. On imports, the country spent $6.4 billion, presenting a decline from $6.6 billion spent the same period for last year. Our trade balance then stood at $952 million. However, that was a decline compared to June 2019. The country's reserves ending June this year stood at $9.1 billion, representing more than 4 months of import cover. On the banking front, there was some good news to smile about as growth to businesses and advances increased marginally, while total deposits of the banks hit 90 billion Ghana cedis ending June this year. From the Bank of Ghana's data, non-performing loans was also going down, a development that could influence the cost of credit in the country, which the Bank of Ghana now says is averaging at around 21%.
Now, cashew farming has become very lucrative in the Adaklu district of the Volta region. To encourage more locals to venture into cashew farming, the district assembly is providing farmers with seedlings. The district assembly says this would enable farmers benefit from government's planting for export and rural development initiative. Here's Ify Toji's report read to you. Cashew farming has become important to many districts, especially for export under the Planting for Export and Rural Development. The Adaklu district, which is one of the poorest in the country, has engaged farmers to work on 200,000 seedlings for distribution. The initiative, according to the district chief executive, is to help improve on the livelihoods of the people who are mainly farmers. Fanuel Kade Donko is DC for the Adaklu district.
So for the year 2020, our target is to raise 200,000 seedlings of cashew, which will be distributed to interested farmers in the district and farmers outside Adaklu district. But priority will be given to our farmers in the Adaklu district. So that is what we are doing. So Adaklu district, in partnership with Ghana Safety Net Project, that is funded by World Bank, the District Assembly Ministry of Local Government, we have been able to recruit over 477 workers within the district onto this project. For Adaklu, we have been able to recruit 89 workers.
About 477 farmers, who are mostly women, have been recruited to produce the seedlings, which will be distributed to farmers in and outside Adaklu. Some of the workers have been speaking with Joy Business about challenges faced at the site.
We need help. We are trying our
Thank you very much for staying here with us on Joy News today. It's time for some sport, and we go into our first story. Now, 2010 FIFA World Cup star Prince Tego is confident that CK Akono has what it takes to end Ghana's Africa Cup of Nations trophy drought. Now, the four-time African champions have not won the cup since 1982. Tego, who was the main guest on Saturday's Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM, believes Akono can win the AFCON trophy. Let's take a listen to his explanation.
When I heard, CK is the coach, I was very happy because I know him personally from afar, but we've met one or two. I've been into his house, we've talked about a few things, and I know the kind of man he is. And for him even to play his career in Germany, I know the kind of high discipline he is. Because Germany, if you're not disciplined, you can't play. You can't even stay for long. So I know the kind of impact he will bring to the team. When it comes to tactical discipline and how to position the boys. And I don't think he will be shy of any player there because he has been there, he knows it, and he got all the experience. So I think he's the best choice, and I just pray that he will be able to bring some smile into Ghanaians' face, which I believe he can do it.
Well, President Akufo-Addo has given a go-ahead to the women's national teams. I'm talking about Black Princesses and Black Maidens to start training ahead of their respective World Cup qualifiers. There's more in the following report.
Football and other contact sports have been on suspension since March following the outbreak of COVID-19. However, the under-20 and 17 female national teams have been given permission to start preparation for the qualifiers. This is what President Nana Akufo-Addo had to say in his 14th address to the nation last night.
Our female under-20 and under-17 national football teams have been given the clearance to go into their respective training camps to begin preparations towards their FIFA and CAF sanctioned international matches which begin in September. Whilst in training, the playing, technical and management teams must observe strictly all the protocols issued by government, CAF and FIFA against COVID-19. All other team and contact sports and competitive sporting events remain suspended till further notice.
The under-20 women's team, the Black Princesses, will face Guinea-Bissau in September in the first round of the 2021 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualification. The first leg will be played in Guinea-Bissau on September 4, with the second leg scheduled for September 11 in Ghana. For the under-17 women's team, Black Maidens, they will be in action in October when qualification for the 2021 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup resume. The Maidens will face West African rivals Nigeria in the second round. Ghana will host the first leg on October 30, with the return leg on November 20.